I've got a bunch of crap with me here today because I keep getting requests from people over email and Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, asking me about my filming setup. How do I film my deer hunts? So I don't consider myself an expert videographer when it comes to hunting at all, by any means. I'm pretty amateur when it comes to filming my hunts, but still, people are interested, and I'm able to put some half-decent footage together. So that said, I'm gonna give the people what they want. I want to walk you guys through all the different gear I use to film my hunts and some of the different techniques, I suppose, that I use to capture somewhat of a decent storyline when it comes to what I'm trying to do out there in the field. So I got this cooler here full of my gear. I'm just gonna walk you through piece by piece, and we'll talk about each and what I do with it and why I like it, and hopefully that'll be helpful. First off, DSLR camera. I use a DSLR camera for a couple different things. Number one, great for photography. Number two, it's great for B-roll. B-roll is like all that nice little scenery footage you see, close-ups of a leaf or a tree or some guy looking off in the distance and it comes in and out of focus. A lot of that stuff can be done really well with a DSLR. So I've used two different DSLRs. This is the Canon 60D, and then the camera I'm actually using right now is the Canon 70D. Really nice cameras, both of them. Not too crazy expensive. I think for the body itself, you know, just for this right here, like $1,000 for the 60, and for the 70 maybe it was $1,200. So as far as getting really great video for not crazy prices, it's hard to beat something like that. Then of course lenses make a big difference in the quality of your footage, what kind of footage you're able to get, all that kind of stuff. I like to use a couple different ones. The basic kit lens that comes with a lot of these that you can buy online or B&H Photo or Amazon or whatever is, I think this is an 80mm by 120 or 18, no, this is 18 by 135. It's okay. So it's got a telephoto lens, so you can spin this little doohickey right here and it allows you to zoom in and out a little bit. It's decent. But I know some guys who really take this stuff seriously, they have much, much larger telephoto lenses, and that's going to allow you to really reach out there. Since I don't have a great telephoto lens, I don't use my DSLRs to actually film deer hunts, like the actual deer, because I just can't zoom out there far enough. That said, my favorite lens for my DSLR is a 50mm fixed lens. I like that because it has a very shallow depth of field, so without getting too crazy technical on you, when you're able to get what's called a shallow depth of field with like a 1.8 or 1.4 aperture, what that means basically is it just allows that lens to open up really, really wide open. It takes in a lot of light into that lens, which then allows you to create that really cool, like what we could call bokeh, this effect where you have one thing in focus, everything else out of focus, right? You've seen that before. It looks really cool. You're able to accomplish that when you have a lens like that. So the 50mm 1.8 is a great lens for getting that really cheap. People call it the nifty 50, I think is what I've heard people call it. It's like a $100 lens, which is super cheap for a DSLR lens, but it gets you that really cool effect as easily as possible. So I've used that lens for like the last 5, 6, 7 years, and without spending very much money, I get some stuff that looks pretty nice. So the reason why I upgraded to the 70D, which I'm using right now, is because it has an autofocus feature for video, which when I'm doing these, you know, blogs like this, these video blogs, it's difficult to be constantly trying to get up here and adjusting my manual focus, or if I'm far away from the camera, I can't do that. So with the 70D, it automatically takes care of that. That's why I switched to the 70D. Moving on, when I'm actually out there in the field hunting, I film my hunts, the deer, with this Sony camera. It's the Sony FDR A100. And I really like this camera. I bought this camera last year, so I've used it for all of my deer hunts in 2015 and now in 16 as well. It captures 4K quality footage if you want, or you can just use 1080. You can just film at 1080, which is great too. But super high quality footage. Again, not too crazy expensive of a camera. Now it is 4K, which is still relatively new, so somewhat expensive, but I think I got this for like $1,700 or something along those lines. So, I mean, we're not talking about, tens of thousands of dollars, which is what I always assumed when you saw what people are using to film stuff for TV or for, really high quality web stuff. But you can, I mean, with a little bit of extra money, you can get some of this stuff that's pretty nice. So I used to have one of those really big production style cameras, but I just didn't think I got that much better quality footage, and it was a much bigger, heavier camera, which was a pain in the butt because I'm lots of times packing in there with a tree stand and sticks and my bow and then this huge camera and all this other camera gear. And it just I ended up not taking that. I'd take my little handy cam all the time because I got pretty good footage and it was way less inconvenient. So I just ended up selling that big production camera, buying this one. And now I think the footage is better. It's a lot smaller, a lot lighter weight, and it's not nearly as much of a pain in the butt. So really like this camera. Easy to use. It's got manual focus. It's got a couple different options for zooming. Like I said, super high quality when it comes to that 4K stuff. So it has just enough of the manual features that I want, that I can use to capture some of the things that I want to do with a video. But it's not so much as confusing for an amateur like me. So this is what I'm using to film those actual deer encounters in the field. Now, when I'm actually out there filming, you know, I'll usually bring a DSLR sometimes and just have that hanging in the tree or sitting in my backpack. And I'll take it out and I'll just do a little bit of filming of some scenery, some leaves, stuff like that to capture the B-roll. But for this camera, I need it on a camera arm so that I can actually be maneuvering that in the tree while also holding my bow and getting ready to take a shot. So the camera arm I use is the Muddy Outfitter. I don't even know if they still make this because Muddy got bought, I think, by Big Game Tree Stands. So I don't exactly know what they're doing with the camera arms anymore, but the original Muddy company produced this outfitter. And I'll show you that. It comes in a couple pieces. So you've got this, essentially the base, which attaches to the tree. And, you know, I've got the strap all mixed up here, but basically this thing gets up against the tree, wrap this around the tree, tight. And what's really cool here is this strap. Most camera arms in the original Muddy camera arm came with a ratchet strap for tightening this thing down against the tree, and I hated it. Absolutely hate that Muddy, or absolutely hate any ratchet strap because it makes so much noise. So Muddy came out with this new silent strap. I don't remember exactly what they call it, but basically allows you to, if I can get in here, it's got one of these little mechanisms right here. Just basically you pull it tight, and then this thing closes down and pulls it a little extra tighter, getting it really clamped down nicely. And there's none of that crazy ratchet strap stuff. So no matter what camera arm you get, whether it's a Muddy or something like the new 4th Arrow, I think, which is what I'm looking at, grab one of these silent straps or put something like this together yourself. It's way better than a ratchet strap, way quieter, and it gets it on there just plenty firm enough. So this camera arm also, you know, allows you to, you can loosen these two things here and allows you to spin this however far you need to go, and then this levels out however high up or down you need this to be to make sure you've got a level shot. So this is what attaches to the tree, and then this piece goes right in there, and now I'm able to hold right here, and this is all attached to the tree with my camera on top of it, and I'm able to, you know, do whatever I need to do when it comes to hunting. My camera's right here ready to rock and roll. Now, what doesn't come with a camera arm is this. This is a fluid head, and another piece of gear I was really glad I upgraded to probably 4 or 5 years ago. This thing just screws into the top of the arm, and what it does, it allows you to get this really smooth spinning, panning up and down, you know, all that different kind of movement. It allows you to do it very smoothly, and it holds that camera on there really solid. It makes a big difference compared to the cheapo ones that I originally was using. So this is the Manfrotto 701 HDV, and again, wasn't too expensive. I think for this and the tripod I got with it was maybe $200 some or something. You might be able to get just the head, the fluid head by itself for $100 some. So again, all this stuff does cost money, but it's not thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You know, I bought all this stuff at like 24 years old or 22 years old or whatever it was, and I was able to make it work. So this camera then just slides on top of here, and it's locked in, and you're ready to film. Another really good upgrade that I bought was a VariZoom controller. So what this does is this, you can just attach this onto the arm of your fluid head. This plugs into your camera. And now you've got these little controls right here that allow you to turn your camera on. It allows you to zoom your camera. It allows you to manually control focus. and turn on and off record. And you can do all that with one hand right here. So before I had this, if I had a deer come in, I'm holding the camera and fiddling around doing all sorts of crap. Now, with one hand I can do everything I need, adjust it, zoom, turn on and off. Really, really handy tool. For a Sony camera, you need this little VariZoom controller, and this is the Stealth Zoom by VariZoom. And then you have to get a little adapter to connect into a Sony. For Canon video cameras, there's some other little adapter you need. So you need to do a little research to figure out exactly what you need for your specific camera, but a very, very handy little accessory. That is my basic camera setup. That's how I'm filming all my actual hunting footage with deer coming in, etc., etc. Now I've got one other camera I bring out with me sometimes, not all the time, and that's a GoPro. I have the GoPro Hero 3, which you can see right here, and I like it a lot. It gets some pretty nice footage, HD footage, and I use that to try to transition scenes and stuff. GoPro, lots of people are using GoPros now. It's nothing too fancy or new. Lots of people use them for point of view stuff or for a second or third angle while they're hunting. I sometimes do that, but what I use it the most for is like my transition footage, like when I'm walking to a tree stand or I'm hiking through an area or whatever. When I want to get footage of that, it's really easy to use a GoPro for that. So right now I've got one set up here with a head kind of harness, so you can throw that on your noggin, take that out in the woods with you. Or I also have this little selfie stick of sorts, which if I were to take the GoPro out of this case, attach it onto here, it would then allow me to walk around with this, do whatever I need to do. One other tool I use is in the tree. This is another muddy accessory. It allows you to take like a screw-in step. This thing clamps onto that screw-in step, and then your GoPro attaches on here, so I can set this up to get that, second or third angle of me, drawing my bow back or whatever it might be when the actual hunt is all going on. So that, in a nutshell, is what I'm using as far as gear. Now, one other piece that you can't see right now, but is what I'm using to actually record the audio, is a little Rode mic. I think it's the Rode Video Mic Pro is what I've got here, and that again was like $150 or something along those lines, and that allows me to get a little bit better audio for either my Canon DSLR or even for this camera too. I will sometimes attach that, especially when it's windy. You can get a lot better audio. Now, I don't use a lav mic. Those are the mics that people clip to their shirts and stuff. A lot of guys on TV do that. I don't, just because they are pretty expensive, and I don't know. This is YouTube. Maybe I should, but I just have not made that investment yet. But I know basically everybody on TV does, and they do recommend that. Audio is important. I'm trying to get a little bit better with that, so that's another thing to consider. But it's a really nice small mic. You can't see it, but it's only about yay big, and not too crazy pricey. So that's what I'm using. I'll leave you with one piece of advice when it comes to filming your hunts. If you're doing it, have fun with it. Unless you're a professional with a TV show, don't let filming get in the way of enjoying your hunt or in getting a quality hunting experience or a quality shot. I love filming my hunts. It's fun to be able to look back on them, watch those experiences, relive those experiences, but at the same time, I've had a few times where the camera has gotten in the way of me getting a good, clean, ethical kill. I was too worried trying to get the shot on video, and because of it, I rushed the shot. I've had a couple things like that where either I couldn't get a shot at all or I rushed a shot. Some of you might recall the story of Jawbreaker. Part of why I think that shot wasn't as good as it should have been was because I was scrambling to try to get this whole video thing done, and it was a tough lesson I had to learn. So my one piece of advice would be have fun with it. Get some of these basic pieces of gear. At a minimum, get some kind of handy cam, get a camera arm, get a zoom controller, and that'll get you going. And you can record your memories, you can have fun with it, you can look back on these things, and that's a pretty cool thing to do. So hopefully this is helpful. For those of you who are interested in filming, this is what I'm using, this is how I do it. Thanks for checking in, and soon we'll have some new updates from the field. I've already been out hunting here in Michigan and Ohio. No deer are down yet, but that might change soon. So thanks a lot.